Everybody, the Rockies playing game 2 of a 4-game set against the Cincinnati Reds. Homer Bailey, as we mentioned, going for Cincinnati. It is Kyle Freeland going for Colorado, and we join Reed Saunders now.
Fans, please remain standing and kindly remove your caps. Performing the national anthem this evening is 92-year-old World War II Army veteran Stuart Boone. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all join in and acknowledge Mr. Boone's service by singing along to our national anthem.
Stuart Boone, a World War II veteran, 92 years young. That was special. That'll set us up for the 4th of July at the old ballpark. It is the Rockies, it is the Reds, it's the 4th of July. Nothing better. Come on back to Coors Field with us. Since baseball's inception, the game has been synonymous with what it means to live in the United States. Along with fireworks, barbecues, parades, and hot dogs, nothing says America more than baseball. Tonight, with family and friends, we pause to celebrate our independence and enjoy America's pastime. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Rockies, Reds, next on Root Sports. Gentleman was at the ball game last night. It is Independence Day, and I hope everybody's enjoying time with friends and family. Glad you've gathered around the old television. You say old television set, that sounds archaic these days.
Flat screen.
Flat screen. Around the old flat screen to watch the Rockies take on the Reds and enjoy your barbecue. With Ryan Spilborgs and Mark Stout, I'm Drew Goodman. Last night, a crowd of around 50,000. Watched the Rockies beat the Reds 5-3 and then enjoyed, I think, the best fireworks display in baseball. And tonight they're hoping for the same thing. It'll be Kyle Freeland and Homer Bailey. Game 2 of a 4-game set. The Rockies last year struggled with the Reds, just 2-5. This year they went to Cincinnati, took 2 out of 3. And the Reds are one of those teams, if you like looking into history, that Colorado has performed really well against at Coors Field. Cincinnati does not like playing here. In fact, of all the road cities, Cincinnati has the lowest winning percentage in the National League here at 20th and Blake.
That bodes well for the Rockies, and it bodes well for Denver's own Kyle Freeland. I'm impressed by this kid. It dates back to the very first start he had in the major leagues. Opening day, I wasn't sure what to expect from this kid. He ended up beating the Dodgers 2-1, goes 6 innings, 6 strikeouts. His major league debut in his hometown. Is a great ability to pitch, induce the ground ball, second best rate in the National League, only behind Clayton Richard. When the Rockies have asked him to step up and stop a losing streak, Kyle Freeland has been that guy. And again, the Rockies have been losing of late. He's been giving the quality starts that the Rockies need. 8-6 on the season, 3.84 ERA. He is much better at home than he is on the road. 3.21 ERA at home. 4.35 on the road. He is a fastball, cut fastball mix. He likes using his changeup away to right-handers to try to induce those ground balls.
And you know, the fact that he grew up here and got a lot of play when he was drafted out of the University of Evansville, as everybody knows, went to Thomas Jefferson High School. But I'm sure it was a factor, not a huge factor, that he had pitched here as a kid. And it's been borne out so far this year, as you mentioned. He has a 3.21 home ERA, which is better than what he's done on the road, and that is somewhat atypical, as I think all of you are aware, for Colorado pitchers. Let's take a look at the lineup he'll be facing. Billy Hamilton's had a sore back. He is in the lineup tonight, leading things off. The fastest man in baseball. You don't want him on base. Southwest batting order will feature Zach Cozart batting second. He also sat the ball game out yesterday. He's had a quad injury, just came off the DL. He is an all-star starting at shortstop in the Midsummer Classic. Joey Votto homered yesterday. Adam Duvall, Suarez, Schebler owns a home run also against Freeland. Jose Peraza, Tucker Barnhart, and the veteran Homer Bailey, who owns a couple of no-hitters in his career. So we're ready to go. And the first pitch on this 4th of July is outside. Ball 1. Billy Hamilton, a switch hitter, in from the right side. He told me that the back affects him swinging more than anything, and swinging on the left side a little more than the right side. And he starts out with a base hit. So a leadoff single for Billy Hamilton. And we'll take a look at the Rockies defensively. They've committed the fewest errors in the National League. They have the highest fielding percentage in the National League. We focus on Alexi Amarista, starting for DJ LeMahieu. He's trying to get that groin healed up. He probably is going to really need those few days during the All-Star break. Now, he is an All-Star, talking about DJ as well. But those few days will be important for him. This ball's in the air to Cargo. First pitch swinging for Cozart, and that's 1 out. That's big because you didn't give Hamilton an opportunity to try to swipe second.
On the last 3 years for Billy Hamilton, he's 148, and out of 169, that's an 87.6% stolen base percentage, which is remarkable. This year, 33 stolen bases, only caught 5 times.
He would have, if not for injuries in each of the last 2 Septembers, led baseball in steals, but he's gotten hurt the last 2 Septembers with injuries that did not allow him to finish the season. And here's Joey Votto. He homered not only last night, he homered against Freeland in Cincinnati. He's at .317 right now, which is his highest average of the year. The home run he hit on a 3-0 pitch against Jeff Hoffman last night was his 24th. That's the most home runs he's had pre-All-Star break in his career, including 2010 when he was the league's MVP, and he finished that season with 37 home runs. At the break in 2010, he had 22 homers. This guy's a freak. He's not a good hitter. He is a great hitter. And there goes Hamilton. It's fouled off. That's what Spilly was talking about. It's not just the number, it's the high percentage. You just don't get him. I mean, he doesn't, you know, we always fall into the, okay, good jump, right? Great jump. Doesn't matter really for him.
No, this guy could steal off anybody with a good or bad jump. He's making it down to second base in less than 3 seconds.
And a shattered bat, slow roller, and Reynolds needs some help. Amarista will get there. He does tag the bag just in front of Votto. Fortunately, it was Votto running, and he got out of the box rather slowly. A little confusion, I think, with Freeland and Mark Reynolds.
Freeland's trying to jump out of the way of the barrel. That's why he didn't get over right away. Luckily, Amarista with the heads-up play, making it over to first in time.
Yeah, that's why he stopped. Okay.
Now, if Joey Votto would have ran hard out of the box, he probably would have been safe at first with a single.
Now this becomes a big sequence right here to get Duvall with Hamilton in scoring position. If you recall last night, even though Hoffman made a couple of high-quality pitches, he gave up a seeing-eye hit and a bloop hit. And then there was Votto at the plate and hit a sac fly, and the Rockies were down 1-0. Freeland trying to avoid that same fate. Adam Duvall, who was an all-star last year, and one of the areas he's improved this year, it's just overall hitter ability. Last year was a lot of home runs, but he's got the average in the 280s, and the pop hasn't gone away. He's got 19 home runs.
Last year he had a sub 300 on base percentage, which isn't great. And this year's raised it up at least 30 points to 326.
Here's the 0-1 on Duvall. And a weak ground ball that is going to go foul. Duvall have to come back. Duvall's a good athlete. He's a good defensive player. He's a thick guy, but he runs better than you think. We were saying this last night. Huey was up here, Spilly, and this lineup for me is one of the 5 or 6 best lineups in baseball. It's a scary lineup.
It's a very scary lineup. Top to bottom, there's speed, there's power, there's righties, there's lefties. So you have a difficulty navigating through the lineup. And not only that, they're a very, very good defensive unit. They play excellent defense. They play both sides of the ball very well.
And you say, well, why they're 12 games under 500, geniuses? It has to do with pitching. They have a lot of young starters, and they have a lot of talent, but they've struggled. This ball in the air, right center field. Carr goes, not going to be able to get there, and Cincinnati's going to take a 1-0 lead on a double by Duvall.
Duvall had a .355 batting average with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. He's going to add to that Good approach after getting jammed inside. Duvall on a cutter away. He's able to pull his hands in and let the ball travel. Not a horrible pitch. It's a better piece of hitting.
So the Rockies will have to play uphill a little bit as they did last night. Eugenio Suarez, just 12 for his last 74 at the plate, and he takes low ball 1. Suarez 0 for 3 in last night's affair with a walk. He's only thrown 9 pitches as Freeland, and he's already faced 4 batters. Called strike from Bill Miller. He's the crew chief. Kerwin Danley is at first. Adam Hamari is at second. Todd Tishner is at third. Two and one. When the Rockies were in Cincinnati, this young man was hot. Suarez, he was swinging it. 2-1. And a ground ball fair. Long throw for Nolan. He gets behind it, and the savvy of Mark Reynolds to lean back and make the catch and avoid the base runner. A run on a couple of hits in the first for the Reds.
Line up for you Colorado Rockies, my Colorado Rockies, and all the fans here. Leading off, Charlie Blackmon, jardinero central. Raimel Tapia, jardinero izquierdo. Nolan Arenado, tercera base. Carlos González, mi compadre, jardinero derecho. Mark Reynolds, primera base. Trevor Story, shortstop. Alexei Amarista, segunda base. Tony Walters, receptor. Y en la loma esta noche, Kyle Freeland.
You're fired.
Vinny, you can't fire him. That was outstanding.
You are, Drew.
Oh, I'm fired.
Yeah,
Vinny's doing it every night. Happy birthday to Vinny. It's his 50th birthday today. Did a marvelous job, and I just learned something as Charlie's going to ground out the second. And you probably knew this because you played in Mexico a couple times in winter ball, right?
You didn't realize shortstop was shortstop.
Shortstop was shortstop. You knew, you picked up on that. There's no Spanish equivalent, huh?
There's not.
So a big happy birthday to one of the all-time Rockies. Not only one of the all-time great Rockies, but one of the all-time great guys to wear a Rockies uniform. And it's a great thrill that Vinny's with the club each and every day. One out, and here is the guy who had the near cycle yesterday. Raimel Tapia. Good swing against Homer Bailey. So Homer Bailey comes in 0-2 with 27 ERA. When you start breaking down the numbers on his first 2 starts since coming off the disabled list, he had his elbow cleaned out in spring training, some bone spurs removed. It's kind of mind-boggling. Just 4 2/3. He's given up 14 runs. And Spilly, get this, the one number, 14 runs, 12 hits, 5 walks, 3 home runs. But the number that blows me away above all else, in 4 2/3, he's thrown 132 pitches.
It's a lot of pitches.
And that is going to be a base hit for Raimel. That's the single he needed last night. Don't get backdoored. The catcher, Barnhart, was chasing first base.
Tapia's not afraid to swing the bat. Swung first pitch after Charlie made a first pitch out on the Subaru Supremo. You can see how he's able to just drop the barrel. Talking to all the different coaches, Tapia could care less who's on the mound. It could be Roger Clemens, it could be Cy Young. He's going up there hacking.
Cy Young
He'll be really old.
it's very unlikely that he's going to face Cy Young. Here's Nolan with 1 out. And he takes a fastball up in the zone from Homer Bailey. Rockies haven't seen Homer because of injuries and the way the schedule has fallen, the rotation, since 2014. Tapia draws a throw. Ball 1. Homer turned 31 a couple months ago. One of those guys with the prototypical pitcher's body, 6'4", about 230. This gets away for a moment, not far enough. One and one on Nolan.
Well, I talked to Ryan Hannigan about what he sees from Homer Bailey. Ryan Hannigan and him have caught. Ryan has been his catcher for the majority of Homer's career. And he said he noticed with the fastball a lot more sink. He's throwing a lot more two-seamers. When Homer's at his best, it's a 4-seam fastball above the belt, and then he mixes in the off-speed pitches.
This is a sharp ground ball that's going to sneak into left field off the glove of Suarez. Tapia with the good wheels to third. Rockies in business with 1 out in the first.
Nobody's quicker inside on a fastball than Nolan. He's able to just pull his hands in and get it past Suarez. Suarez is a good defensive third baseman. This one short hops him off the end of the glove. What I like about Tapia, he does not stop. The motor's always moving for him.
Now you have a guy who, despite great pedigree in Homer Bailey, a fragile psyche given his first 2 outings, and the Rockies have 2 on, 1 out. Cargo at the plate. The shortstop Cozart is right up the middle against Cargo. 0-1. Carlos, a career .313 hitter with 16 home runs in just 48 career games against the Reds. Last at bat for Cargo yesterday, and an 0-for-4 day was his best. He had a screaming liner, but right at Adam Duvall. Held up, 1-1. And when you're struggling, as long as he has struggled, you look for small victories, and that was a good AB. Didn't get on. You try to carry that into the next ball game, I imagine, Spilly.
You have to stay positive. This game is such a negative game that it could just spin you into a circle over and over again.
Kind of an indecisive swing there, and it's 1-2.
Whenever a guy's doing well offensively, he's thinking about hitting the ball hard. When a guy's in a slump, he's thinking about getting a hit. Doesn't seem like it's a big difference, but it makes all the difference when you're in that box.
1-2. And that's a base hit. That'll work, and the Rockies have tied it up. He stayed back and hit it sharply for Cargo, his 22nd RBI. A little something to build on.
Good for Cargo. Gets a changeup down right into Cargo's wheelhouse, and on the Supermo. The timing for Cargo was perfect. Gives himself an opportunity to see the baseball and put it in play.
Not a bad pitch, Billy.
Not horrible.
Now here's Mark Reynolds. Mark with his first protracted slump of the year, trying to extract himself from that. 0 for his last 16 at the plate. And this is bounced to short. It's going to be a double play. Rockies get the equalizer on the Cargo hit. 3 singles in the inning. We'll go to the second, tied at 1.
To hashtag Be Like Mark and get Mark Reynolds to the All-Star game in Miami. Of course, he's part of the Final 5 vote. And for Twitter Takeover tonight, we're going to take over at @RootSports_RM and get some tweets from you to get Mark Reynolds to the All-Star game. Use the hashtag Be Like Mark, hashtag Toyota Talk. If you got a question about Mark Reynolds, hit us up. I asked him a few things. If you know how you can be like Mark, we'd like to know that. It's the 4th of July. You know, you might have a few pops in you. Get creative with us tonight. Have some fun. Celebrate our independence and be like Mark.
What on earth are you suggesting, Mark Staff?
Creativity. Creativity to get that man to Miami.
Can I see your shirt again?
Yeah. This one. Round trip travel. Don't think I don't love this shirt.
1-1. Schebler beats that into the ground. Scott Schebler.
Okay, that's a great shirt.
Yeah.
Around the world with Mark Reynolds.
Round trip travel.
That's awesome.
Dingers.
You're the best, Mark.
Did you come up with that this morning, Mark?
This was from his player-elect day. I immediately had to have that.
Good stuff. 1-2. Scott Schebler's interesting, my friend Ryan Spilborgs. He is hitting .219 against right-handed pitching. He's hitting .324 against lefties. What do you got?
We always talk about front side keeping it closed, and that's something that you see whenever you see a lefty on lefty or righty on righty.
And he kept that shoulder in there, and he's going to have himself a double.
It's pretty rare to see a lefty with the numbers that significantly different. Just because lefties don't face lefties that often. Oftentimes you'll hear of a player, hey, he cannot hit a left-handed pitcher. Well, Schebler's proving he can't really hit righties right now, but he's crushing lefties. Front shoulder stays closed. He sees the ball, lets it travel, and trusts his hands.
So here's Jose Peraza. You know where he lives in the offseason? San Diego, Venezuela. Did you ever play down in Venezuela?
No. I had an opportunity to go play winter ball in Caracas, but I went back to Mexico.
One strike on Peraza, batting 7th in the Reds lineup. Played short yesterday. He's at second this evening. Here to Cargo and right. And they make the catch. Schebler will appropriately tag up and move to third. Now here's where Freeland will try to bear down and get Tucker Barnhart. Strikeout would be nice here. 1-1 game. Less than 2 outs and a runner at third.
Barnhart does not waste time. 42% first pitch swing. That's 5th highest in the National League.
Outside, ball 1. Barnhart is kind of the other way around. He's hitting .303 against righties, right on right, 172 against southpaws. Outside, 2-0. We talked about this on the air yesterday, that if Freeland loses Barnhart, it's not the end of the world, because he's hoping, you know, you can go get Homer Bailey, and then there's 2 outs, and you go against Billy Hamilton. That's foul. And I know Hamilton had a hit. He puts a lot of pressure on a defense with the wheels, but there's 2 outs and he's a .240 hitter.
Probably the conversation Walters and Freeland are having right now, trying to figure out how much do you want to challenge this guy.
Why does Tucker have the, or why does Homer have the sweatshirt on? It's 84 degrees.
He's from Texas. He's used to it being a lot hotter.
Way inside, 3-1. And now it's 3-2. So you go to your best swing and miss pitch. Maybe a back foot slider. If you're Kyle Freeland, what do you like here, Spilly?
I like back foot slider. If it's not a strike and you walk him, so be it. If he swings over the top of it or if he puts it in play, it's right at Nolan.
Yeah, you can see Tony wants it down, down, down. He executed the pitch, maybe a little bit more out over the plate than he wanted.
Infield's going to come in for the Rockies.
Tony trying to pump up Freeland. Another 3-2 and another foul ball against Tucker Barnhart. 1-1, top of 2. 3 hits apiece already. That's got a leadoff double from Scott Schebler. Buddy Black looking on. Schebler's at third with one out. And he loses him. So that will bring up the pitcher Homer Bailey with one out. Runners at first and third now. Billy Hatcher, rather than flashing signs, he wants to make sure that Homer Bailey knows exactly what Brian Price, the manager, wants here. I would assume he's going to bunt. And Schebler's a good athlete at third. Remember, he played center field yesterday, so I know he's a big, strong guy, but he's got functional speed. It's kind of a read-it play, I assume, on the bunt for Schebler.
It should be. I mean, you're trying to push it towards first base, and that's probably the reminder. With Mark Reynolds holding on Barnhart at first, nobody wants the ball ever hit towards Nolan.
How about the play he made yesterday on the bunt?
He's ridiculous.
He's never made that play before. He said he's always thought about making that play, and he finally had an opportunity. Well, if he offers it two more like that, he's got no shot at making contact.
156 career batting average for Homer Bailey.
That didn't look like spring training execution of the sack attempt. Good job checking everything out by Tony Walters. For a moment, he thought about seeing if they could turn it over. Homer Bailey did a very professional thing there and the right thing. He busted it up the line. If he doesn't, Rockies could turn two over. Remember, you got Barnhart running at first, and where Tony fields this, he had a shot, but Bailey got up the line. So this is the scenario that we were talking about. He gives the Rockies a chance to get out of it without any damage, but you got to get Billy Hamilton here. Hamilton poked a single to left, leading off the ball game, and would eventually come around to score on a Duvall double.
The Rockies infielder is still having to respect Billy Hamilton. He may try to drop a bunt down, which sounds crazy, but we've seen him do it.
We have seen him do it, but the crazy thing about Billy is, for a guy who's the fastest guy in baseball, he has not been real successful with bunt hits. He has 4 this year. And I remember last year, he didn't have a ton of them. You'd think he'd have, 20, right? Should bunt once a game.
His first bunt hit came against the Rockies in Cincinnati, and it was a sack. He was sacrifice bunting.
That was the ball that spun out of the hand of Nolan and cut him in the eye. Originally, it was called an error, and they changed it about a week later. 1-1 on Billy Hamilton, kid out of the state of Mississippi. Mississippi State wanted him to be a wide receiver and a baseball player. Now Billy, in addition to a sore back, has a sore ankle.
Yeah, that's one way to slow him down. He's from Taylorsville, Mississippi, and he told me it's a very, very small town. I believe there's only one stoplight in Taylorsville. He goes back every offseason, spends time with his friends and family.
One and two. Freeland, when he's on, produces a ton of ground balls. 64% ground ball rate, one of the highest rates in the National League. Two-two, and that's a base hit, and that's going to bring home 2 runs. And Now Cincinnati's up 3-1. So Billy Hamilton is 2 for 2. Both hits looked identical.
He just pokes the ball into left field. Trying to get inside on Billy. His pitch is not bad again, just down. Billy does a good job of hitting.
That'll bring up Zach Cozart. Cozart swung at the first pitch and hit a fly ball to right. He takes strike one here in the second inning. Now Freeland, twice in this game already, he's had an opportunity to get out of an inning unscathed. Gave up that double with 2 outs to Duvall to right center field. He had 2 strikes on him. He had 2 strikes on Taylor, or excuse me, on Hamilton, and failed to get him out. So Kyle's not going to be happy going to the dugout. The Rockies down 3-1, middle of 2. Or go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6. Get your Rockies taco special. 3-1 Cincinnati. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, Mark Stout. It'll be Trevor Story, Alexi Amarista, Tony Walters against Homer Bailey. Rockies had 3 singles. Tapi Arenado, Cargo to produce a run in the first. Story had his 6-game hitting streak snapped last night. Takes a strike from Bailey. He's facing Bailey for the first time in his career. #16 no-hitters all time for the Cincinnati Reds, and number 15 and number 16 owned by the same guy, Homer Bailey. 2 strikes out of LaGrange, Texas.
There's only been 31 pitchers to have thrown multiple no-hitters. 4 of them are active: Jake Arrieta, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and Homer Bailey. Now, I mentioned Ryan Hannigan caught Homer Bailey. In fact, Hannigan caught Homer Bailey for both of his no-hitters, and as tradition has it, a pitcher will buy the catcher a watch. So Ryan Hannigan has 2 very nice watches courtesy of Homer Bailey.
Cool stuff. High fly ball, deep left field. Duvall near the wall is going to have a play. With 1 out, now Amarista coming up. Let's pay a visit to Mark Stout once again. Mark.
that just fell short of the wall. We don't want Mark Reynolds to fall short of going to the All-Star game. So hashtag be like Mark today. Garrett said he's voted for 10 minutes straight twice to get him to Miami like Will Smith. Kathy R. just watching the Rocks and voting. And there's Chris. Where can I get some of those socks that Mark is rocking here? You could also text N4 to 89269, and that's another way to vote for Mark. You got to be like Mark today. And we're trying to get him to the All-Star game in Miami. He's part of that final vote, the final 5. Heard that he's in 4th. So N4 89269, and we'll take some of your Twitter tweets tonight to @RootSports_RM.
Sounds good, Mark. Pile up those votes. 2-0 on Amarista, making his 4th start at second base this year. Home run, 6 RBIs this year for Amarista against the Cincinnati Redlegs. There's a 2-0 pitch. And that is pulled to right, a base hit. Shebler makes a good play, a hold Amarista to a single. So with 1 out, Alexi aboard for Tony Walters.
I always like it when Amarista gets an opportunity to play because he does not get shorted with his swing. Little Ninja gets a pitch down and in. A lot of good pitches hit so far tonight. There's not been a lot of pitches middle that have been hit.
Tony Walters 0 for 4 yesterday. He started the Saturday game down in Arizona. Hannigan came back to the big leagues Friday for Tommy Murphy, and Ryan, who we've been talking a lot about with his connections to Cincinnati, started on Friday and Sunday. Wind really blowing out to right. Amarista picked off by Tucker Barnhart.
Amarista overextended himself at first. Once he saw the swing from Tony, he flinched towards second base, expecting contact. Barnhart very quick, and Joey, whenever you have Joey Votto at first base, he's expecting the baseball at all times.
And this is to left, and this is a foul ball.
I don't think Tony realized that the ball was foul for a bit.
Second base umpire Adam Amari put his hands up, trying to let him know. Tony kept going. Here's the 1-2 again. And the changeup, he got him. And because of that pickoff, next inning Bailey gets to start the inning against Freeland. 3-1 Reds. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the 2017 Toyota Tundra in your hometown Toyota stores. By Cheyenne Frontier Days, log on to cfdrodeo.com for the full lineup. And by Southwest Airlines, yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. That's the appropriate bird for today. Happy 4th, everybody. We go to the top of the 3rd. Cincinnati 3, Colorado 1. And it'll be Votto, Duvall, and Suarez against Kyle Freeland, who gave up a run in the 1st and 2 in the 2nd. Both times he was in a position to get out of it. Gave up 2 out, 2 strike hits to Duvall in the 1st and to Billy Hamilton in the 2nd. Ball 1 on Votto. Votto got jammed his first time up and hit a slow roller to 1st. It's an interesting play because Reynolds had to go to Amarista because Freeland couldn't get over there. He was avoiding the barrel of the bat that came flying at the mound. That's how good a pitch it was on Joey Votto. Now you're in a precarious spot. 2-0 against Votto. Joey Votto's career on-base percentage is .425. The only guy since World War II with a higher career on-base percentage. Let me repeat that. The only guy who has a higher career on-base percentage since the Big War. Barry Bonds. 2-1. Left field, Tapia. In fact, as Joey Votto jogs to the dugout, Joey Votto has walked in his career more times. Find that note I was looking for, Spilly. You got me scrambling now. He's walked more times than any other player born in Canada, more than Larry Walker.
Really?
Larry was a previous record holder. Larry had walked 913 times. Joey Votto's walked 918 times already in his career. 1-0 on Duvall, and he hits it on 2 hops to Nolan.
Well, Kevin Youkilis was the Greek god of walks. I think they gave the wrong moniker to him. They should have given it to Joey Votto.
Joey's walked like 638 kilometers.
Is that what it is? In
or clicks.
clicks.
Native of Toronto. 2nd round pick. Redo that draft. He's going a little earlier than that. Kyle Freeland was a high 1st round pick. Went 8th to the Rockies at the University of Evansville. Jeff Hoffman, who threw last night, was 9th in that draft at East Carolina. He went to Toronto. And the Rockies have both guys in their stable. 2 strikes on Suarez.
Good pitch.
Almost 3 strikes on Suarez.
Right in the inside part of the Subaru strike zone. Just puts in Suarez's mind that he's willing to go inside. You're hoping it opens up the outside part of the plate. Now as a hitter, you're thinking probably, is he going to go back to the cutter in? Is he going to go backdoor slider? Is he going to go changeup? All those pitches go through your mind.
In the air, well hit. It's going to be over the head of Charlie Blackmon off the wall, and Charlie's going to hold Suarez to a 390-foot single. That's big. Keep him out of scoring range. Conventional scoring range, if you will, scoring position. And with 2 outs, Schebler will come up. He doubled. We're talking about his ability to hit left on left. 324 coming in. There's only 3 lefties hitting better against lefties in all of baseball this year. Ender Inciarte has had a great year. He's an all-star for Atlanta. Corey Seager, who we see all the time. And that's going to be a tough chance for Story, and he's not going to be able to throw him out. So now there's 2 on for Peraza. The other guy's Corey Dickerson, the erstwhile Rocky, now with Tampa, who's also an all-star.
This ball to Story's right. He has no chance to throw it to second. Amarista is playing with the shift, so his only play is to first base.
Here we are in one of those situations again. 2 quick outs, now 2 on, and Peraza at the plate. And Freeland gets ahead 0-1. Peraza just 3 for his last 21. He had a fly ball to Cargo in the right field corner, his first at bat. Three runs, 6 hits for the Reds. Rockies a run on 4 hits. The night is young.
So far, the body language for Kyle is showing me that he's frustrated. Looks like he does not have his ability so far to really command the lower part of the strike zone with his fastball.
And Peraza out front, 2-2. Every time Kyle pitches at Denver, it's kind of cool. Mom and Dad like they're going down to City Park to watch him play. Two in the air to Toppy. He's got to field it on a hop, then another run. That's the 4th run of the game, all with 2 outs. Freeland unable to put hitters away. He's not struck anybody out, and he's not getting the huge volume of ground balls that we typically see from him.
Because the pitches are up in the zone.
Buddy Black's coming out.
Buddy didn't like the reaction of Kyle as he was backing up home plate. He voiced his opinion, and Buddy comes out right away. For the season, Kyle Freeland has a 5.3 strikeout per 9, which is not very high. As he's trying to figure it out, how to make it at the major league level, how to be consistent at the major league level, he's going to have to learn what pitches he'll have to put hitters away when he gets them to 2 strikes.
It's the repertoire, and he's got that real good sinker, but it's sinker, cutter, you know, a little more depth with the slider, but there's no, you don't see a change really, and you don't see, he doesn't throw a curveball out of that arm slot. But he's got to, he's got to be fine. He's got to be on the edges. He's not going to overpower you with a fastball. And he's been very good this year. But today is one of those situations where, because you don't get a lot of swings and misses, the ball's in play. And Billy Hamilton's balls weren't hit particularly hard. That ball wasn't hit particularly hard. But when the ball's in play in a big yard, oftentimes it finds empty real estate. Now Tucker Barnhart. 3 straight 2-out hits. It's the 53rd start by a rookie pitcher for the Rockies this year. Most in baseball. They've had the greatest success among rookie pitchers collectively. They have 4 rookies that have 5 or more wins. That has never happened before, prior to the All-Star break. I'm not saying for the Rockies, I'm saying the history of baseball. We've had 4 rookies with 5 wins or more prior to the All-Star break. 2-1. Crowd's filled in now. Not too many empty chairs. They're out getting a cold one. 2-1. Three and 1 on Barnhart.
Everything in body language is telling you what kind of start it's been for Kyle Freeland. The way he's receiving the baseball back, the way he's walking around the mound.
Barnhart dispatched the bat, and he's walking back, and I'm sure that's not where was that pitch. That is an apology to Bill Miller, because remember, Barnhart has to work with Bill Miller. He does not want to show him up. Hey, my bad, Billy. Didn't mean that.
Sorry.
Good pitch.
Yeah, my bad. That's on the edge, right?
And a ground ball to second. Amarista's got it. And the Rockies will go to the bottom of the third with work to do on offense. They're down 4-1. Central League High-Speed Challenge question of the night. Go to @RootSports_RM to cast your vote. We encourage you to do so. We'll show you the results during the Toyota postgame show. How do you like to spend the 4th of July? These two like to spend it at the ballpark. At a barbecue on the beach in the mountains, or like 50,000 good Rockies fans at Coors Field. Kyle Freeland in the third against Homer Bailey, 9-1-2. Freeland hit a home run and a double when he faced the Reds in Cincinnati. He also walked. They couldn't get him out. Now, Homer Bailey, unlike his previous 2 appearances, is throwing strikes. 21 of his first 29 pitches have been strikes. Just went 4 2/3 total in his first 2 outings. Freeland trying to hit a grand slam with nobody on. He's frustrated right now by what's happened on the other end of things. Well, this afternoon, Chad Bettis faced a couple of hitters in a live BP session, or simulated game, if you will. And again, there was no Elstreen out in front. He faced Pat Valleca and Mike Tauchman. And I talked to, and I know you did as well, Spilly, both Pat Valleca and Mike Tauchman afterwards, and they said they were really impressed with Chad's stuff. In fact, Pat Valleca told me, he said, I don't know if he was doing it on purpose. He says, but his fastball was both cutting and sinking, which, you know, you can take us through that. That's miserable for a hitter.
He was good. He was mixing in all kinds of pitches. It wasn't like he was just throwing fastball and letting the guys hit it. He was coming after Tauchman. He was coming after Valleca. And it's great to see. I mean, at the end of the day, he's getting closer.
Big day in the process for Chad Bettis. He's getting closer to going out. And you know who went out today? Gerardo Parra. He's not with the club. He's down in Albuquerque. He hopes to play 3 ball games and perhaps play for the Rockies in that White Sox series over the weekend, where they could use him with all of the injuries and the offense stagnant a little bit the last 2 weeks. Even yesterday, the Rockies win the ball game, Spilly, 5-3. They get 10 hits, but there hasn't been that blowout hit. There hasn't been that gapper that scores 2, or the 3-run home run. This is line to center field. Hamilton is right there. 2 outs.
Well, you look at the last stretch of baseball for the Rockies on that road trip. They were outscored by 44 runs.
And they averaged under 3 runs a game offensively. Their best offensive player of late's been the guy at the plate, Raimel Tapia. He had a base hit in the first and would score on a cargo single ultimately. 2 outs, nobody on, and Raimel takes on the inside corner for a strike. He hasn't played a ton of ball games, but he has been in 6 different spots in the order for Buddy Black. This tells you about his offensive versatility. He's batted first, second, fifth, sixth, seventh, and he's batted ninth. And like the guy who normally hits second, he is not uncomfortable at all with 2 strikes. You know, this kid's got to do it for a lot longer, but you know, DJ is the best with 2 strikes on the Rockies, and this guy's got a chance to be an outstanding 2-strike hitter. 1-2. Mark, you okay?
Might still be up in the rooftop.
He's on the rooftop, we've just been informed, so he's probably okay. That'd have to really ricochet significantly to get him.
Be a long ways up there.
Yeah, we're way up here.
You were fine, right? You didn't even duck, did you?
It's good.
And on 1 hop to second, this will be a 1-2-3 third inning for Homer Bailey. So we'll move to the 4th. The Rockies trailing on the 4th of July, 4-1.
Happy 4th of July as we celebrate Independence Day here in Colorado and across this great nation. People enjoying the day and thinking about the freedom that they have. And of course, we enjoy it because we get to bring you Rockies baseball. It's also a Twitter Tuesday, so we're taking over at @RootSports_RM, and we're trying to get you to vote for Mark Reynolds to be in the All-Star game. Hashtag be like Mark. And I asked him some questions today. If you were going to be like Mark, your favorite candy would be gummy bears. That's what he told me today. So are you good with that? Does that do the trick for you, gummy bears? We'll have a few of those coming out. And if you've got a question about Mark Reynolds, just hit us up at @RootSports_RM.
I'm not a gummy bear guy. You, Mark?
Yeah, you know, I'm good with gummy bears.
Who doesn't like gummy bears?
Who doesn't, right?
Dougie likes gummy bears. You're a big gummy bear guy, right? Dougie loves gummy bears. You know what I like?
What do you got?
I had one last night when I went over next door to eat. They have them in the jar right there at the Chop House. They're made in town. Help me. No, Spilly, the candies that they're sour. You suck on.
Oh my God, I have no idea.
Jolly Rancher.
Jolly Ranchers.
I'm a Jolly Rancher guy.
Jolly Ranchers are made here in Denver?
Yeah, right. Dougie, Jolly Ranchers are made in town. Sammy? They're not anymore? Sam grew up here in the 40s. Sam, they don't make. Oh. Billy Hamilton's pain in the neck tonight. A couple singles, has driven in 2 runs. And this is pop in no man's land. Great catch, Alexi Amarista. That saved, honestly, folks, maybe a triple, as crazy as that may sound. Right, Spilly?
He was touching second when Amarista caught that baseball.
Did he cut across the diamond?
What a play by Amarista.
Yeah, all right, maybe not. Maybe not.
He wasn't touching second. He was touching
It felt
first.
like it.
It's a
But
good
you know,
play.
if he kicks that or whatever, certainly a double. Great play by Amarista. Zach Cozart with 2 outs, nobody on. Ball and a strike on Cozart. Rockies have gotten him twice. He's the first Red to start the All-Star game at shortstop since the Hall of Famer Barry Larkin.
He made a great adjustment in spring training after watching his teammate Joey Votto. He rests his bat on his shoulders.
Wouldn't you watch everything Joey Votto did at the plate?
Well, Joey Votto, as a gift for Zach Cozart earning a starting shortstop role in the All-Star game, he's going to buy him a donkey.
What do? You go down your corner
There's a
cattle shop?
There's a donkey store in Ohio. Now, the way the story goes, Cozart, their spring training is in Arizona, in Goodyear, Arizona. And down the road from Goodyear, there's a petting zoo. And Cozart would frequent this petting zoo and was enamored by a donkey. So Joey Votto, in pushing for his teammate to make it to the All-Star game, offered his teammate and offered fans that voted for him that he would buy his teammate a donkey.
Fly ball to deep left center field. Tapia near the wall will have a play. First 1-2-3 inning tonight for Kyle Freeland, who had his hands on his knees, hoping that that ball stayed in the ballpark. 4-1 Reds. routine brought to you by UC Health. Preparing for the fireworks show to come after the ball game. They do it better than anybody else in baseball. And the Zambelli Fireworks Company have hosted Rockies fireworks since 1993, year one of this organization. 15,000 fireworks shot in a 12.5-minute show. Great stuff. Nolan leading things off. Rockies got to get going against Homer Bailey. Billy, you were asking me earlier, how many patterns do you think are shot into the sky? That would be 108 different patterns from 9 production areas around the stadium, not all being shot from the same place.
I think one year I watched it, and it's changed a lot. It's a lot more computers than it used to be. But I watched back in 2007, some guy lighting every single, row of fireworks up.
So you were back there, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you try to partake?
No, they don't let you anywhere near it. I was probably where I shouldn't have been.
Once again.
Yeah.
Ryan Spielberg's where he shouldn't have been. ... Once again.
Again.
2 balls and a strike on Nolan. He had a sharp single through the 5.5 hole in the first. 2-2. Nolan with a 7-game hitting streak. Well, obviously Homer Bailey pitching a lot better tonight than he has in his first 2 outings. And a ground ball off of Votto's glove. That'll be a base hit. That's a good start. We don't talk a lot about Joey Votto's defense, but he's a very good defender also. He's made the fewest errors of any first baseman in the National League.
I was watching Joey Votto the last 2 days. He's been working very hard with Freddie Benavidez. That's the first base coach for the Reds and their infield instructor. And what he's been working on is trying to get further over in that first base position to cover up the 4-hole for a guy like Nolan. That's how they were going to shift. And the ball that he was working on in batting practice, basically Nolan hit that to him. Wasn't able to make the play.
Cargo a base hit to right to drive in the only Rockies run. And he takes ball 1. Cargo with an RBI ground out last night and the RBI single in the first. Now, that's how rough a year it's been for Cargo. This is going to probably won't shock people, but because they've watched this season, but it's the first time since May 11th and 12th that Cargo's driven in a run in back-to-back games. That's almost 2 months batting in the middle of the order.
That's why Gerardo Parra's production was so important when Cargo was struggling.
That's why Tapia has helped out immensely with Cargo just coming off the disabled list. Now with Ian Desmond down this week. And there's a base hit the other way. So now 2 aboard, nobody out. That's truly a team at bat right there, isn't it, Spilly?
It is, and it's good for Cargo because when he's at his best, he hits the ball opposite field. Knowing that there's a shift, allowing the ball to get deep, letting it travel, and trusting the guys behind him. Fastball away, sees it away, and you mentioned earlier, last night, quality at bat in his last at bat. It was a line out to Adam Duvall, but it got him going for today. Now he's 2 for 2.
There's Mark Reynolds. Now it'd be a wonderful time for Mark to get out of that little funk he's in. Go for his last 14 at the plate, in into a double play his first time up.
A lot of production out of the 5th spot in the Rockies lineup this season. 63 RBIs. That's second most, just behind the Washington Nationals, who have 71.
Mark flip-flopped with Cargo tonight. Mark's kind of been a fixture in that cleanup spot. Since he's been slumping a little bit, they Buddy moved him to the 5th spot. Reynolds this year in the 5th spot, as Spilly was alluding to, all that production. He's hit .339 in 29 games. There are 13 home runs out of that 5th spot. So Buddy probably looked at that after consulting with you and said, you know, I got to put him in 5 hole now,
yep,
right?
That's what I said. Put him in 5 spot.
Good take. You know, when you're slumping, you can see that take a little jumpy, right?
It is, and over the course of the season, your body, once it gets tired, it'll start doing things that you're not accustomed to. Your legs aren't quite there. You're not able to keep the front side in. You're not able to keep your mind from trying to cheat because you're tired, because you're physically you're trying to get that good feeling that you had earlier in the season.
In the air to Hamilton in center. Now the ball's drifted back. Hamilton will make the catch. Nolan goes back, and he should have tagged, and he didn't. That was a base running error by Nolan.
Nolan is watching Billy Hamilton getting chased, and he doesn't like the route he's starting to take. Normally, you should be at second base regardless. He's paying attention to Billy. He should have been standing on second, waiting to tag. If that ball lands and it's a double or it's a single, you're still at third base. He had to have been at third base, and that would have been a productive out.
Hopefully the Rockies can overcome that. Here's Trevor Story. Hit a fly ball to the wall and left his first time up.
Don't miss the action when the Chicago White Sox make a rare appearance at Coors Field July 7th through the 9th. Purchase your tickets online at Rockies.com. The Rockies may have let the Reds off the hook twice today. You can look at Amarista in the 2nd inning getting backpicked on when he was at first base. And right there, Nolan not tagging up on a baseball. Cargo would have tagged up as well, and you would have 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Changes the entire dynamics of this inning.
How does that happen? If you're at home, people are wondering, how does that happen to, you know, everyday big league guys who are really good players, really smart players?
Because you're watching the route that Billy Hamilton's taken, and you think that the ball's going to drop. I mean, it wasn't a great route by Billy.
On the outside corner, 1-1.
There's times when guys overthink the game. That's why they're called fundamentals. Even though you don't like them, sometimes you think you can play above them. You have to do the right. You have to do the right things.
Happened last night with Tapia. And that fly ball to left. Fortunately, Hoffman with 2 outs got a double to score Tapia. But he didn't tag on that fly ball where the left fielder Duvall had to go to the ground.
And I mentioned the Rockies were outscored 44 runs on the recent road trip. And a lot of those runs, too, it's not just the 44 runs that were given up. There was a lot of opportunities on fundamental baseball that the Rockies failed at.
That's a strike. And you made a great point, Spilly, that if Nolan tags, Cargo was tagging. So now it's 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. And if Story gets it in play, you're probably going to get at least 1 run out of the deal. Trevor can go ahead and hit a 3-run home run. That'd work also.
Yep.
This kicks away, and the Rockies will get to move up. So they get the result now because of the wild pitch.
There's a little bit of scolding by Stu Cole to Nolan as soon as he got to third base. You can see him pat him on the backside. Slider down and away. Not much Tucker can do to keep that ball in front of him.
So Story with the 2-2 count. Again, one of those deals. He's got to try to find a way to get it in play. Infield's back. Reds up 4-1. Didn't happen. That's been the story the last, pardon the pun, the last 2 weeks for the Rockies as a whole. A lot of empty at bats, a lot of punch outs on that road trip. Now Amarista has to come through with 2 outs. It's the 3rd strikeout for Homer Bailey. Amarista had a sharp single to right in his last at bat. That snapped an 0 for 16 for Alexi. It's a good block by Tucker Barnhart. Amarista has driven in 16 runs. The large reason why he's hitting .423 in these situations. Runners in scoring position. And this one is gobbled up by the second baseman Peraza. The Rockies got 2 on, nobody out, and do not score. 4-1 going to the 5th on the 4th of July. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By USAA Insurance, banking and investments tailored for the military community. And by the Wyoming Office of Tourism. Wyoming is full of adventure. It's time to find out if you are too. That's why travelwyoming.com. Rockies trailing 4-1, 5th inning. It'll be Joey Votto, Adam Duvall, and Eugenio Suarez for Cincinnati, or 3, 4, and 5 in there. Powerful lineup. Freeland had his first 1-2-3 inning in the 4th, trying to build on that. He's gotten Votto twice, ground ball, fly ball. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Joey. And now it is a 2-strike count on Votto.
Last night, Joey Votto became the 627th player all time with 1,500 hits.
He is on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
You were talking about second only to Barry Bonds with on-base percentage in his career.
He's gone. Good pitch by Freeland, and that is his first strikeout of the night.
He tied him up. He was challenging Votto inside the entire time. And what I wanted to get back to, Votto's one of the rare guys that chokes up. See how far he's choked up on the bat to try to control the barrel, and that is just a great pitch on the Subaru strike zone.
I remarked about him last night with Huey that, Spilly, if you watch his BP, he methodically sprays the ball around. He does not hit the ball in the seats in batting practice. This ball's well hit right center field, and time, look out. Blackman in front of Cargo makes the catch. And Duvall is the second out of the inning. But it's unusual for guy. I mean, you're talking about a guy with 24 home runs. Usually, you know, especially by that third round of batting practice, they're letting it fly. But Votto, he just keeps spraying line drives.
That's the beauty of Joey Votto.
It's almost like a tennis player who goes to the net after hitting some ground strokes, goes to the net and works on it, you know, on his volleys. That's all he does. He kind of blocks the ball to left, blocks a couple balls to center. Cutter in there for a strike on Suarez. And that ball is lined toward Tapia, lays out and makes the catch. End of inning. Great grab by Raimel Tapia.
National League All-Star. Go to Rockies.com and cast your 2017 Esurance MLB All-Star Game final vote. Vote now. Voting ends at 2 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday, July 6th. This is a great tweet sent out by the New York Yankees. Mark Reynolds spent 2013 handful of games with the Yankees, hit 6 home runs. Said last one and we'll be with you for a bit. We like at Rockies. They like hitting home runs, tweeting puns, and wearing pinstripes. So help hashtag be like Mark. The Rockies have a partnership with the Yankees this season for this All-Star final vote. They've teamed up with Didi Gregorius. So when you text 89269, you text N4 for Mark Reynolds, and then also text 83 for Didi Gregorius. Keep it all in the pins.
There you go. That is hooked foul. It's a 1-1 count on Walters. Freeland is on deck. Rockies have 6 hits, but only 1 run. All 6 hits are singles. What we were discussing earlier, you haven't seen the big fly, the gapper with traffic. And Tony's going to bounce out.
And that's why it's so important not to give away outs, and to make sure when you're not scoring, having these big crooked numbers, when you're not able to hit the home run, you have to put the ball in play. The last 14 games for the Rockies, they're near the top in baseball in strikeouts. And the little things, tagging up, making sure you take the extra base when it's there, reading dirt ball, putting the ball in play with runners at third base and less than 2 outs.
Rockies were so good fundamentally for most of this season, and they're still very good fundamentally, but there have been some glitches of late, and they haven't overcome them.
Those glitches will get exposed when you're playing good teams. When you take on the Dodgers, when you take on the Diamondbacks, it comes down to an at-bat. It comes down to pitches.
Speaking of those two teams, they're playing each other tonight. It's Kershaw and Corbin, and in the second, the Dodgers already have a 1-0 lead. Put up a couple zeros with some help defensively. Nice running catch in center field by Charlie Blackmon a moment ago, and then the diving catch by Raimel Tapia.
Notice so far with Homer Bailey, you mentioned in the first 2 starts for him, his fastball command wasn't quite there. There's a lot of two-seam fastballs. That's not Homer. Homer's at his best when he trusts his four-seam. We've seen a lot of four-seam fastballs tonight.
Peraza's been busy, been easy plays. 2 gone. That'll bring up Charlie Blackmon. Let's check in with Mark again. Mark, what do you know?
Well, we're taking over Twitter tonight to get Mark Reynolds in the All-Star game. Hashtag be like Mark. If you're like Mark and you binge watch on TV, I was asking about this today, well then you would watch Netflix's House of Cards. That's what he told me that he binge watches. So make sure you text N4 to 89269 this week to get him in. He's in the final vote. We want to get him to Miami so that he can be in that All-Star game. I have a few other things that you can be like Mark with later in the game.
Sounds good, Mark. Thank you. Here's Charlie Blackmon. A lot of people want to be like Charlie. Charlie's 0 for 2, ground out, line drive to center field, takes strike 1. Blackmon, as literally almost as we were announcing it on the air, and Major League Baseball was announcing that Charlie was going to partake in the home run derby next Monday night in Miami. Charlie decides to hit a home run that counts. Charlie last night, it was number 18, came in the 4th inning.
I like that the Rockies leadoff hitter is partaking in the home run derby. I'm curious how many leadoff hitters, maybe did Brady Anderson ever do it back in the day? How many leadoff hitters have ever competed in a home run derby?
Great question. And here's the list of participants. Small Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, who's taken the league by storm. Mike Moustakas, he hit a homer yesterday. Giancarlo Stanton, guy I picked to win it, Miguel Sano. I want to see Charlie win it,
yeah.
but
Sano has a lot of pop.
Sano's a beast. Justin Bour, Charlie, Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez got poked a little bit today. Did you see that by your boy Lomo? You know Logan Morrison's a big social media guy.
He stopped tweeting for a while. He's back on it.
Well, I don't know if it was on a tweet that misses, but he made it known that he thinks he should partake and not Gary Sanchez. He's got 24 home runs. Been a really good year for Morrison. Tampa. Two-two. And Charlie, ground ball up the middle, base hit. There are all-stars visiting. Here comes Raimel Tapia.
My favorite quote that I've read so far came from Giancarlo Stanton. He's excited to meet his twin, Aaron Judge.
Those two guys are freaks, right? I was talking to Scott Schebler before the ball game about Mike Trout, because Schebler played with the Angels, played with Trout, and I asked him, what was your first impression of Trout? He said, my first impression was I didn't realize how big he was.
He's big.
Big. And I asked, remember last time the Rockies played the Angels, I asked Trout, I said, what do you play at? And, you know, he's one of the fastest guys in baseball, right? Built like a brick, you know what? 240.
That's 10 pounds heavier than
Yeah.
Matt Holliday.
But then the conversation moved to Aaron Judge. And Schebler said, because this guy is ridiculously large. And we were talking about Matt Holliday. You know, you played with Matty. And Matty's a large, strong human being. And he looks like a child next to Aaron Judge. 2-0. And we know how big Stanton is. That's inside 3-0. He's trying to put something together here with 2 outs, down 4-1.
Well, this is where you're hoping Raimel understands the situation. Jamie Carroll was one of those perfect 2-hole hitters. Not a lot of pop, but he would take until he got to 2 strikes. Because he knew the guy hitting behind him, the 3-hole hitter, is the guy that could do the damage, not him. Granted, Raimel's hit 2 home runs in the last week. The guy that can do all the damage is on deck. So you have to look for a pitch, middle, center cut that you can handle.
And he did as you suggested. He got a breaking ball, which made it a little easier. It's a changeup, I should say. 3-2. Homer's been able to command that changeup tonight. Votto moves behind Blackman. Charlie will be off. 3-2 with 2 outs on Tapia. And this ball's line to center field, but Billy Hamilton is right there. And that'll end the inning. So Blackman left aboard. 5 innings complete. 4-1 Cincinnati. Raimel Tapia yesterday a single shy of the cycle as we look at our unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. How many times in Rockies history has a player fallen short of the cycle and needing a single to do it? The easiest of the 4 types of hits, just 10 times. Spilly fell triple shy on the 4th of July in 2008. Did you know that, Spilly? Of course you did.
I brought this up.
You did.
I have all these highlights that I feed the truck, and I said, you're contractually obligated to show them.
To celebrate me?
Here you go.
Here
I had
you
this
are,
on my
Spilly.
phone. I sent it to him. That's the best swing I ever took in the major leagues.
That's a pretty good swing right there.
That's Matt Holliday.
Oh. Good work in Matt also. Good pitch. Freeland with a 1-1 count on Scott Schebler. Schebler talking about how well he hits lefties this year. Close to .330 now against lefties. A double and a single tonight. 7 in a row retired by Freeland. And that's at the top of the strike zone. One thing that you got to give Freeland, even in his uneven outings, he finds a way to compete and usually give you 6 innings. And if he can give the Rockies 6 and give up 4, he's kept the Rockies in the game. Now it's on the offense to get something going against Bailey, which they haven't done. But he's got to navigate Schebler, Peraza, and Barnhart here in the 6th inning. 2-2. The hits are even. At 7, the runs are not. 50,000 basically at Coors Field tonight. Another sellout, the 8th of the year. Celebrating the 4th of July. Not a play.
Well, Kyle Freeland definitely grinds throughout the game, and recently has a new tattoo put on his right arm. You can see it right there. And what the tattoo basically says is that he, as a son of Denver, he is here to grind for his city.
That is foul.
So his tattoo says, "My city told me they needed me, so I'm grinding for that."
Got the mountains along the forearm. Tyler Chatwood was great in the clubhouse, as only players will do. He goes, "Dude, you better hope you never get traded." He's proud of his roots, and he ought to be. 2-2 to Schebler, and another foul ball. Three and 2. Reds team 2-12 their last 14 road games, just 12-27 away from GABC, Great American Ballpark. And this is fisted to short. Story's got a hustle, and he just does get Schebler. Big guy runs well. 1 out. And that'll bring up Peraza, 8 in a row set down. All right, little history for everybody out there. We celebrate with great pomp and circumstance our independence, which goes back to really July 2nd of 1776. But we celebrated on the 4th of July. One of the not only signers of the Declaration, but authors of the Declaration, in a letter to his wife, said future generations are going to celebrate the 4th of July with great pomp and circumstance. And that person was, Billy, you're a historian, John Adams, 2nd President of the United States. John Adams to Abigail Adams. He said, "I'm apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generations as the great anniversary festival," and that's what it has become. Celebrate our freedoms. 2-0. And that misses, so it's 3-0 on Peraza, 1 for 2. He had an RBI single in the 3rd.
4th of July to me is my favorite holiday I spend as a baseball player. It's always been at a baseball field. And to share this holiday with the friends and family, the fans, can't do it without the support of our troops, and I always appreciate getting the chance to wear the Stars and Stripes. And thank you to the servicemen and women, your families, for giving the sacrifice so we can have today.
Absolutely. And not only on Veterans Day and Memorial Day and the 4th of July, but I love what baseball does, because hardly a day goes by in the ballparks that we visit, whether it's here at home at Coors Field or on the road. This ball's well hit to left, and this one's long gone. This is up on the concourse almost. A home run by Peraza, just his 4th of the year. And now the Rockies are down by 4.
For Kyle today, it's just been a struggle to finish off the hitters. The Reds have had a lot of 2-strike counts and found ways to put the ball in play. It's just been elevated fastballs or pitches up in the zone.
It's the 4th home run allowed at home by Freeland this year. And to finish that commentary, we're at ballparks every day, and the Rockies do a marvelous job of this, as do their brethren in baseball, in celebrating our servicemen and women who are returning from conflicts, whether it be in Afghanistan or Iraq or service elsewhere in the world. And we are most appreciative. Barnhart takes ball 1. That home run went 445 feet. Explain to people, Spill It, and you hit, you had pop. You watch home run you hit on the 4th of July 9 years ago. The ball up in the zone, we always say, hey, mistakes up. Why is that, for most hitters, not all hitters, but most hitters, easier for them to hit out of the ballpark?
Because it's already elevated. You don't have to create angle. I mean, a lot of times people misunderstand what creating a launch angle even means. It doesn't mean having a drastic uppercut. If you get a pitch up in the zone, you don't have to change your swing. The ball's already elevated. You just swing.
One and two.
Essentially, a ball elevated is the swing that every guy consistently practices. It's the one you do in the mirror. It's the one that you, when someone takes the good-looking baseball card of your swing, pitches middle and up.
Three and two on Barnhart. See a look of frustration throughout this ball game from Freeland, understandably, and he looks off in disgust there as he just walked Barnhart, and that'll be all. Here comes Buddy. One out, one on, a run in. Homer Bailey's coming up. Jordan Lyles has been warming in the Rockies bullpen, and he'll be on the hill when we come back. 5-1 Cincinnati. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. It's a pretty night. Scoreboard not so pretty right now. Still plenty of time. 6th inning. Rockies trailing 5-1. A home run by Peraza, and then a walk to Tucker Barnhart. So with one out, it was the end of the line for Kyle Freeland. He'll give way to Jordan Lyles. It'll be his 27th appearance. This is an important spot for Jordan. This is, you're not coming into a 17-2 game where you're just trying to save the bullpen. He's trying to get outs and give that Rockies offense an opportunity to get Colorado even and ultimately ahead. He'll face Homer Bailey here with one guy. And that's a great bunt by Bailey, his second sacrifice of the evening. With 2 outs, Barnhart to second, and Billy Hamilton, who's 2 for 3 and a couple of RBIs, will come up.
The move to bring Jordan Lyles in to face Homer Bailey is one of the small moves that I appreciate from Bud Black, because for a relief pitcher to come in the game knowing that Kyle Freeland was done, he was done after walking Barnhart. You could have easily given him an opportunity to face Homer Bailey to get the sacrifice bunt, and then you bring in Jordan to face Billy Hamilton. Just by giving him one extra hitter gives him an opportunity to feel settled in on that mound.
That's a great point. Ball 1 on Hamilton. 2 punch singles to left against Kyle Freeland. The second one with 2 outs. Scored 2 runs in the second. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, and now 1 in the sixth against Freeland. 8 hits, 2 walks, just 1 strikeout tonight. It's 2-0 on Hamilton. So we were talking earlier, Billy, he's from a small town in Mississippi. As Billy told everybody, it's Taylorsville. Population 1,319, but it's a big town, man. It's the second most populous town in the county. Billy's the fastest guy in Taylorsville. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
Oh yeah, he'll tell you that too.
I think the other 1,318 people say, yeah, Billy's fastest.
Billy was saying that for him to make it to the major leagues is a big deal for his city. There's a lot of kids and people that are proud of their city, and he's brought attention to them.
Good for him and all the good folks of Taylorsville, but we're not going to call it a city.
I mean, it's a town.
It's a town.
Sorry.
Got 1,300 folks. This ball's fouled off. That would be a town.
What's the requirement? What's the limit here?
A whole lot more folks than 1,319. 13,000, 130,000.
Is what their minimum
That's the
requirement?
demarcation point. Somewhere in between 1,300 and 130,000. How about that? 2-2 and a good pitch. So Lyles strikes out Billy Hamilton. A home run by Peraza, and it's 5-1 Cincinnati as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Middle of the order for the Rockies. this Independence Day, USAA honors our fallen heroes. That gentleman, 92 years young, played the national anthem today. That was terrific. Nolan in the 6th inning. Nolan's 2 for 2. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1 against Homer Bailey. He's already worked more innings in this game than he did in his first 2 outings this year. He lasted just 4 2/3 in his first 2 outings of the year. Threw 132 pitches, had an ERA at 27 coming in. It's going to be an easy play. In the infield, it's Peraza.
The first 10,000 fans next Sunday will receive a military appreciation barbecue apron courtesy of Colorado Beef Council.
Cargo's 2 for 2 as well. Drove in a run in the 1st inning with a single to right. He also singled to left. He's hit a changeup in both at bats. Shift is on. Homer Bailey, because of injuries last year, made only 6 starts. In 2015, he made only 2 starts. 2014, he made 23 starts. Last year he had a full season was 2013. He went 11-12 and 32 starts, but a 3.49 ERA. Year before he was 13-10 with a 3.68 ERA, made 33 starts. Got a lot of injuries last few years. 1-1.
Yeah, here's a list of injuries. September 5th, 2014, torn flexor tendon in his right forearm. May 8th, 2015, Tommy John. February 18th of this year, the bone spurs. I mean, that's. And Homer Bailey was rewarded after the 2013 season with the long contract by the Cincinnati Reds.
He's been on the disabled list by my count 10 times in his career. And I don't mean 10, you know, it used to be 15 days. You're not talking about short stints either, long stints. 2-2. There's that changeup. Originally the 7th pick overall in the 04 draft. Signed out of high school. He has had his moments, as we talked about earlier. 2 no-hitters. Come in on Cargo. Homer Bailey's kind of the veteran, if he's healthy, certainly in that Cincinnati rotation. He signed through 2019. Club option for him in 2020. And that is hooked fair. There are 2 outs. Mark Reynolds coming up, and Mark Stout's coming up also. Here, Mark.
Yeah, it's one last chance here on this Twitter Takeover Tuesday to tell you to vote for Mark Reynolds to get into the All-Star game. You can text N4 to 89269. You can tweet #BeLikeMark on Thursday only. That's when the voting ends. One more tweet about Mark Reynolds. If you want to be like Mark and have a pregame meal, it's got to be a ham and cheese sandwich, complete with 1,000 Island dressing, because he's got 1,151 career hits. So 1,000 Island dressing with ham and cheese. Are you good with that?
So run that one by me again.
Ham and cheese sandwich with 1,000 Island dressing on it.
I'm out.
Not doing it?
No. I mean I could eat it, but it's.
Yeah, that's his pregame meal.
No. What about you, Spilly?
I'm out on that one.
What did you do, Spilly? Did you have one?
Pre-game meal?
Yeah, like a consistent one?
I was a peanut butter and jelly guy.
Good PB&J is tough to beat, right?
You know how to do it right if you have the perfect ratio, which I did. It's chemistry, and it's perfect.
One ball, one strike. Chef Spielbergs can whip together the perfect PB&J. Hey, by the way, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, a town becomes a city with population above 50,000.
It's good to know.
2-1 on Reynolds. Rockies have 7 hits in the ball game. They're all singles. And not many balls in the air. A couple of line outs. Blackman lined out. Reynolds hit a high fly to deep center, and Story deep left field, but nothing real loud yet. Rockies hitting in the bottom of the 6th inning. Dodgers up on Arizona now 2-0. Rockies shaved a half game off of the Dodgers divisional lead with the victory yesterday, and the Dodgers being idle.
Changeup has been the equalizer for Homer Bailey tonight. His best secondary pitch. When you're adding that with the 95-mile-an-hour fastball, the 4-seam, not the 2-seam, it's made Homer difficult to hit.
Joey Votto is not going to have a play. First row. Is she okay? Let me get a thumbs up from over in that direction, thankfully. Scary moment.
Oh, no.
Maybe she got grazed. Be a base hit off the end of the bat. Mark throws away the bat handle, but he'll take it because he had been 0 for his previous 14, actually 0 for his previous 18 at the plate. So with 2 outs, he's aboard for Story. Trevor is 0 for 2, a strikeout along with that deep fly to left. Here comes Mac Jenkins out. 95 the pitch count. Michael Lorenzen, who used to be a starter, he's got a big arm. It's one of their key components late in ball games. He's throwing in their pen. Time of year, long evenings. Sun still hasn't officially set.
It's a pretty rare start for the Cincinnati Reds when you look at starters ERA over the course of the season. This is why we were hoping that the Rockies would jump all over Homer Bailey.
Coming in, said his first 2 starts were not good. That's being kind. And they have an ERA over 6, which is unsightly.
It's top 5 worst of all time since 1913. Only the Detroit Tigers in '96 to 6.64.
Story fouls that back. 1-2 on Trevor. It's been said many times, Spilly, and I know you heard this when you were coming up. that it takes about 12 to 1,500 at bats at the big league level before players know who they are at that level, and management has a feel for who that player is. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it takes about 3 years to really have a good judge of what the player is.
This is Joey Votto in foul ground. And again, the Rockies unable to do anything against Homer Bailey. Reynolds left on after a broken bat single. We go to the 7th, 5-1 Reds. Time for the Cooney Lexus look back. Cargo with the Rockies down 1-0. Drove a hard ground ball through the right side to bring home Raimel Tapia, who had singled. It was 1-1 at that point, but everything's been in favor of the Reds since that time. Billy Hamilton, a 2-run single with 2 outs. Jose Peraza, a 445-foot home run in the 6th innings. The Rockies down 5-1. Lyles starts out. Zach Cozart with a curveball for a strike. Final 2 outs in the 6th inning recorded by Lyles. Freeland went 5 1/3, 5 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, a strikeout. Cozart, Votto, Duvall in the 7th against Jordan Lyles. And the South Carolinian didn't get on top of that breaking ball, and it's 2-1. Cozart pops this one up. Reynolds coming down the line will make the catch. 1 out. Cozart 0 for 4 and Votto's 0 for 3. Those are your 2 300 hitters in the lineup. And you say, all right, man, you got a chance for a nice night. But the other guys in that Cincinnati lineup, which is a very good lineup, have been productive. Hamilton, a couple of hits. Duvall, an RBI single. Schebler's had a couple hits. Jose Peraza. This is a tough play for Nolan, and he'll still get the out. Why? Because he's Nolan. That's the only reason. Votto had it with funky spin off the end of the bat, go off Nolan's chest, and he still threw out Votto. Fortunately, the one attribute Joey doesn't have is great speed.
He keeps the ball in front of him. You can see Nolan knew that it was going to take a tricky hop. Just fires a strike. And every night Nolan does something different on a ball that even to him is not a routine baseball play. He finishes it off.
You know, Spill, I think that's a great way of describing it. He makes, we know, extraordinary plays, but he also makes plays that you haven't seen before. That play's one perhaps you've seen before, but just how he does it. Spins, grabs the baseball, seemingly a blind throw, but it's right on the money, right? On the bunt play where he comes down, and he's like 8 feet away from the guy who just bunted the baseball and has to fire it completely across his body, and the ball's going to tail a lot, but he throws a perfect strike to second. Then the one where he's lying on his back, reaches for the baseball and throws from his back a seed to first. It's a cliche, but people who are sitting at home or in the ballpark tonight and watch the Rockies and have watched the Rockies the last few years, they will tell their children and their children's children, I watched Nolan Arenado and he's the best third baseman there's ever been. And there'll be a kid who comes along 20, 30, 40 years and they'll say, boy, this guy's great, Dad. He's great, but he's not the guy I watched. He's that good.
He's that good.
And it's not hyperbole. Get this one, Nolan.
He's going to make the play anyways.
Sure he is. You're out.
How many times do you get to hear a standing ovation on a foul ball? It's your first chance.
Yep. He's a freak show. That's all he is. This one's not foul by a lot. It was foul. Nice play by Mark, also at first base. He might be, Spilly, and you played this game a long time, he may be the most eager defender I've ever seen, right?
He is. He wants every single baseball hit to him. He wants this baseball right here. He's going to run across the infield, go in foul territory, and take it from Mark Reynolds.
Nice play, Mark Reynolds. Leaning over into the camera well. Jordan Lyles, a 1-2-3-7. Let's get the bats going. Rockies down 5-1.
Job by Mark Reynolds, reaching over, making sure the fan doesn't catch it.
Be like Mark. Time for a 4th of July rendition of God Bless America from Sergeant First Class Jody Manford.
Fans, please rise as we honor our great country with the performance of God Bless America. Performing God Bless America today, representing the 4th Infantry Division Band from Fort Carson, is Sergeant First Class Jody Manford. Please welcome Sergeant First Class Manford and join him by singing along to God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America,
Time for the Kubota pitching performance, a comparison of the two starters. Homer Bailey outdueled Kyle Freeland. 6 innings of one-run baseball for Homer Bailey. He didn't walk anybody, did give up 8 hits, all singles, 3 strikeouts, and after 99 pitches, he's going to give way to Wandy Peralta, hard-throwing southpaw. One of the guys that Cincinnati is really excited about. The league's hitting just 198 Spilly against him.
It's a big left-handed arm with a changeup to follow it.
Inside 2-0 on Amarista, bottom third of the Rockies order. 9 outs now to work with. They're running out of time. Rockies got a run in the first, bunch of zeros since then. 2-0 in there. Amarista 1 for 2, and that's high, 3-1. Fly ball to left field, easy play for Duvall. 1 out.
Get on-demand access to the rooftop with the rooftop ballpark pass. $96 for 8 games, includes concessions credit. Choose the days and redeem your pass from your phone. Go to Rockies.com/rooftop for more information. Cool hat.
How about the lipstick, Spilly?
Liked it. It's different.
Yeah. Fits the day. 1 strike on Walters. Pat Vallejo in the on-deck circle to hit for Lyles. Ottavino will be the next arm in the game for Colorado. 2 strikes on Tony. 0 for 2. This goes not far enough away. So Pat Vallejo with 2 outs.
Vallejo has been the Rockies' best pinch hitter this season, 9 for 27. It's a tough spot to be in when you're a young rookie in the major leagues, but he's done very well in this role.
2-0. Catches the zone. Two and two. Strike 3. Wandy Peralta works a 1-2-3 7th inning. 2 strikeouts in the process. 5-1 Cincinnati.
last 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad Greg. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
That speech will live on forever in the great history of baseball. Lou Gehrig's farewell. He's an adorable young man. Adam Ottavino in the top of the 8th inning. Suarez, Schebler, and Peraza for Cincinnati. 5-1 Reds. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, Mark Stout, and our entire Root Sports crew wishing you all a very, very happy and safe 4th of July. Suarez a single and a run scored back in the 3rd. He was robbed of a hit by Raimel Tapia in the 5th inning. Diving catch made out in left field by Raimel. That's another strike. Ottavino in his last outing gave up what turned out to be the winning run in Arizona in the 9th inning. Yet from a mechanic standpoint, afterward, and there's strike 3. Adam said, that's the best I have felt in a long, long time. Because he has been battling his release point, where he places that lead foot, because he's a crossfire guy. And, you know, I know the result was bad, but hopefully, you know, Adam's such a cerebral guy. Hopefully he's onto something now, and that's a nice start this evening.
I go back to the beginning of the season in Milwaukee. He ends up walking several people, and then he got upset, and then he got his good mechanics back, and he had his mechanics for a long stretch. And Adam will tell you, he wants to be on the mound every single day. He's that type of guy that needs to have constant outings, consistent outings.
Right, and he wants to be on the mound when the game's on the line. 1-0 on Schebler, 3 on the right side, and the slider misses. 2-0. Rockies will at the top of the order in the 8th. This ball crushed to right center field, and now the Rockies are down 5. Schebler with his 21st home run.
Schebler's now a triple shy of the cycle.
Well, we were bragging on Adam in the first sequence. He falls behind 2-0, and look at that. That's a belt tie center cut fastball.
That's some bat speed from Scott Schebler. Originally with the Dodgers, part of a 3-team trade that sent Todd Frazier from the Reds to the White Sox.
Nolan throws out Peraza, 2 outs. Tucker Barnhart. A couple home runs hit tonight for Cincinnati.
Well, for Scott Schebler, the 14th home run on the road, leads the National League. I don't think you would have thought that.
He has some oddball stats.
Yeah.
Left on left stuff, and the home runs on the road, only because he plays at a home run friendly ballpark, Great American. He had a home run against the Rockies and Kyle Freeland at Great American earlier this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two and 1.
StatCast numbers on Schebler's home run. 110 miles an hour off the bat, 439 feet.
Anything above 95 miles an hour, exit velocity wise, is considered a hard hit ball. 85 to 95 is medium contact.
It's basically weak contact.
3-2. I don't know what it is about the 4th of July. Historically, the Rockies have not been great on the 4th. 9-16. At home, they're 7-5. And a walk. So the two righties, Adam retired. The two lefties, he has not. And we'll get a pinch hitter here. It'll be Scooter Gennett, who homered yesterday. Joey Votto and Scooter Gennett were talking before the ball game, and Votto, who has 24 home runs, and what is he now, 11th on their all-time home run list, 245, I think. He said, yeah, I may hit more home runs, Scooter, but you hit all your home runs go further than mine. Scooter was trying to protest. Votto was having none of it.
Gennett has 13 home runs this season. Career high for him came last year in 2016 with Milwaukee at 14. And Milwaukee just felt with Jonathan VR and Arcia that there's no real spot for him in the infield.
Well, last year VR played third, and it wasn't a good fit for him, and they planned on moving him to second. And we discussed this yesterday. Gennett became the odd guy out. You think, oh, the Scooter's been around a while. What is he, 32, 33? He's 27. So there's a lot of baseball left for a guy that will give you a little pop in the lineup. June 6th, he hit 4 in a game. Amazing. 1-2.
Gennett hit his 14 home runs last year in nearly 500 at bats. Gennett this season is just a hair under 200 at bats, already has 13.
High fly ball, deep right field. Cargo is not going to have a play. This one's gone also. Pinch hit, 2-run home run for Gennett. And now this game's getting out of reach. Ottavino has come in and allowed 2 home runs and 3 runs. 8-1 Cincinnati.
Gennett's 3 for 19 now in pinch hit appearances this season. Slider right down the middle. Subaru Supermo, the backswing caught Tony Wolters again.
Hamilton 2 for 4 tonight. The other thing during this difficult period for the Rockies the last couple of weeks, I know they lost the 1-run game in Arizona on Sunday, but there's been a lot of lopsided losses. See Votto telling Gennett again, you hit home runs a lot farther than I did.
Gennett was showing his USA flag. dallying around his neck.
He uses a bat by, Spill, you're the bat expert, a show bat. I don't, you know, there's not a lot of guys who use that bat. And I asked him yesterday, I said, all right, what do you think was the greatest thing to come out of the four, or the greatest line you heard after your 4 home runs? And he said, he goes, that couldn't have been a better promotion for Shobat, one of his teammates told him. And now another walk, and Buddy is not going to come out. It'll be Steve Foster. And this is really disappointing from team perspective and Adams' perspective. On 3 pitches, he struck out Suarez, and we were talking about him building on what he thought was improved mechanics in his last outing, and now there's 2 walks and 2 home runs allowed by Ottavino. And for the time being, he's pitched himself out of being one of your primary setup guys. And Mike Dunn, as we know, has kind of pitched himself out of that spot over the last 6 weeks. With the Rockies down 7 runs, this is how much this game's changed. Mark Reynolds isn't even holding on Billy Hamilton. It's an etiquette thing right now. Two strikes on Kozar. Amarista in the inning. A solo home run by Schebler, a 2-run home run by the pinch hitter Scooter Gennett. 8-1 Cincinnati. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Say yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By UC Health, live extraordinary. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Beautiful night at Coors Field or wherever you may be. I hope you're enjoying the 4th. Other than the Rockies' performance tonight, they're down 8-1 as they hit in the bottom of the 8th inning. They'll have the top of the lineup. Charlie Blackmon's 1 for 3. New pitcher on the hill for Cincinnati is hard-throwing Michael Lorenzen. And his first fastball is outside ball 1 at 95.
Lorenzen, former first rounder back in 2013 out of Cal State Fullerton. This is the hardest thrower coming out of the Reds bullpen. Former starter, and Brian Price has used him to pick up multiple innings. 7 times this season he's picked up 2 or more innings in an outing.
Charlie with a foul ball. That was close, but Kerwin Danley on the first base line was emphatic that it was foul.
I mentioned Lorenzen in the past as far as being one of the few pitchers I've ever seen consistently hit in a batting practice group. Lorenzen 1 for 3 this season as a pinch hitter for Brian Price with a home run. And oftentimes you'll see Lorenzen in the 4th group taking batting practice.
Three and one. Left field deep. Duvall near the wall, at the wall, making the grab. Second time the Rockies have seen a player flirt with a home run to left field. Earlier in the ball game, it was Trevor Story. Long out. Toppy at the plate, single scored in the first. That's the Rockies' only run. And a sharp single to left for Tapia.
The first 10,000 fans Saturday, July 8th, will receive a Marvel superhero bobblehead courtesy of King Supers.
Two singles and a pop to second for Arenado tonight. Leads the big leagues in extra base hits, tied for the major league lead in doubles with 27. And Tapia will read that ball down and move up on a wild pitch. And again, we talk about the baseball etiquette. Votto was not holding him on. Tapia did not move up prior to that because of the unspoken etiquette rule. But once the ball hits the dirt,
yeah, it's not like
you're free to
you
move.
have to stop playing baseball. If the ball's in the dirt and kicks away, you have to take the extra base. As long as you play the game hard and you do it right, if the ball's in the dirt, the ball's in the gap, and you're just running hard, nobody will ever take issue with it.
He's in the air to center. Pretty well hit, but Hamilton has room, and Tapia will move up 90 feet, 2 outs. That'll bring up Carlos Gonzalez, an RBI single in the first, a single in the fourth, and a ground out in the 5th inning.
Well, Dougie just dropped a stat on me that's not a great stat, and it's pretty telling of why the Rockies have been so bad in the last 14 games. Last 13 games, 21 for 100. With runners in scoring position.
And it's not only that, their number of extra base hits is very low in that time span. So the hits they've gotten primarily have been of the single variety. Tonight, an example of that. The Rockies have 9 hits, the Reds have 10. The Rockies trail by 7 runs. The Rockies have all singles tonight. There was another ball game recently where I remember saying that the Rockies had 9 or 10 hits and they were all singles. Their home runs are in the lower third of the National League, which is a big surprise. And again, I know we sound like a broken record in this regard. Just hope, based on previous performance, that that number shoots up in the second half, if not sooner. There's still 5 ball games left before the All-Star break. There's 23 extra base hits the last 14. Now, at one point during the 8-game losing streak, the Rockies had hit only 3 home runs. Last night they hit a couple with Blackman and Tapia, but they were solo home runs. 2-2 on Cargo. And no contact. That is a strikeout, and that'll end the 8th inning. To the 9th we go. 8-1 Reds. Top of the 9th inning because of fireworks. Our set out in center field is not available, so
that'd be terrible, right?
To be out there right now.
Show out there?
Yeah.
Wow.
How are you, Jenny?
I'm great. How are you guys? I mean,
how are you feeling? Because you know everybody knows that you're with child. How are you feeling? You look wonderful.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling great. The baby started kicking. It's exciting. I wish the Rockies were winning, though. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah. Is that why it's kicking?
Yeah, exactly.
The baby's
it's kicking
little,
for some hits.
Baby's ticked off.
Baby's mad, especially with runners in scoring position. Real mad. 1 for 7 tonight. That's what the Rockies are. Plus, we're going to talk a little pitching. Spilly's going to join me.
That's right.
You get double duty tonight.
I love it.
I'm pretty pumped.
Anything for you.
Yeah. You guys, the Rockies pitchers have as many strikeouts as they've given up home runs. So those are the numbers that we're dealing with tonight. And unfortunately, we've got to talk about what's going on with the team right now. So we'll do that coming up on the Toyota postgame show.
All right. Thank you.
Look forward to it.
Jenny, we appreciate it. In the 9th inning, it'll be Mike Dunn facing Votto, Duvall, and Suarez. So this is how things have changed. It's the ebb and flow of a baseball season. These things happen. But right now, with the Rockies down by 5 runs, let me do my math here, but yeah, by 4 runs last inning, Adam Ottavino, who's normally your 7th or 8th inning guy, was pitching, and now the Rockies are down by 7 runs, and Mike Dunn's getting work, and these are 2 guys that were on the plus side for most of this first half. Rockies trying to get these 2 guys right. For Dunn, it's been a mixture of command issues and giving up the long ball.
Dunn hasn't had as good sliders since coming off of the disabled list. We've seen flashes of the good slider and good command, but just not to the consistent level early that he had in the season.
Almariste on the outfield grass will throw out Votto. Votto 0 for 5 in the game. But his teammates have picked him up tonight. 7 home runs allowed by Mike this year in 26 1/3. That's a lot of long balls in a short amount of time on the hill. And now Ottavino has allowed 6 home runs in 30 innings. Ground ball to Story. Val retired. Suarez coming up. Suarez, a run scored back in the third after singling. He's 1 for 4.
Right at the top of the Subaru strike zone. Pitch 1 right at the bottom of it. I like seeing the command for Dunn. The slider has looked good. Very first pitch to Duvall was a good pitch. The slider at the bottom of that Subaru strike zone as well.
Ground ball to third. Nolan back pedals. He's got, wow. What's the deal there?
He hit it to Nolan. He was like, why should I even run him out?
That was a joke. Suarez only ran 15 feet. _RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies do score 7 in a game. In the 9th inning, the Rockies down 8-1. Mark Reynolds, Trevor Story, Alexi Amarista. They'll need a lot of friends. Down by a big number. The new pitcher is Asher Wojciechowski. I want to go back because I was wondering what happened to Suarez. It was like the guy got 15 feet out of the box. I didn't see this. He takes a swing, hits it on the ground to Nolan, and then he spins out. And that's why he was only 15 feet out of the box.
We call those molded cleats, the plastic spikes, and if you step on home plate,
you're done.
You're done.
It's like an ice skating rink.
Exactly.
But it's a lot easier on your feet.
It's a lot easier. Infielders typically will wear them just because of the comfort level.
Asher Wojciechowski on the mound, who has 37 letters in his last name. Mark had a broken bat single to left center his last time up that snapped an 0 for 18.
The Rockies saw Asher earlier in the season when he picked up a lot of innings in a game in Cincinnati.
been up and down this year. AAA Louisville. No swing, 2-2. And did he hold up? Yep, 3-2. Base hit with a broken bat for Reynolds. That'll hopefully get Mark going. 2 hits tonight. That'll bring up Trevor Story. Tell you about the starting pitchers tomorrow. The former Ranger Scott Feldman is going to be on the mound for Cincinnati, and Big John Gray will get an opportunity to build on what we saw in his last outing. He's returned Friday, gave the Rockies a terrific outing and a victory against Arizona to snap that 8-game losing streak. Story 0 for 3. Wojciechowski got the win in Cincinnati against the Rockies, the only game that Cincinnati won in that 3-game set at Great American. And Dougie, as you fans know through the years, he's intrigued by different baseball things, certain historical things. He's always been intrigued by names. So if there's a player, you know, that was named, you know, Icebox back in the 20s,
sure,
he'll find a way to work him into a broadcast. Frying Pan Jones, you know, something like that, right? You know, Dougie's going to find a way that he becomes pertinent to what we're talking about. This is fouled off. Wojciechowski, I said he had 37 letters. I was off by 24. He has 13 letters in his name, but it's 1 letter shy of the longest surname in Major League history, Jared Saltalamacchia.
Which in Italian, Saltimacchia means jump over the thicket.
No, it doesn't. It means really long last name.
No, it means jump over the thicket.
Does it?
Yeah, Saltimacchia.
What does Spillagus mean in Belgium?
Don't even shower. Straight to the bus.
That's what I thought it meant. Where do you start sewing on the left? Wojah who? Saltalamacchia looked like he did a full circle around his number. 1-2 on Story. Chases out of the zone, 1 out.
Wojciechowski was a former first rounder for the Toronto Blue Jays out of the Citadel.
Who did we see recently? Spent 1 year at the Citadel, transferred to a junior college in Florida, and is pitching in the big leagues. It's in the last 3 weeks. Marista 1 for 3 tonight. Single back in the second and snapped an 0 for 16 for Alexi. Crowd of 48,338. 8th sellout this year. They waiting for fireworks. They're hoping for big offensive fireworks from their team tonight. It has not happened. Strange though, I'm looking up at that scoreboard and it bears repeating. Both teams with 10 hits. But one team has 8 runs, the other team has 1. 10 singles for the Rockies. Rockies had 10 hits yesterday, got 5 runs out of the deal. And Amarista is out number 2. That'll bring up Walters. The pen has struck out 5 Rockies in 2 2/3. Homer Bailey struck out 3, going 6 innings of 1-run baseball. Ground ball to Joey Votto. He'll run to the bag and the ball game is over. Disappointing 4th of July for the Colorado Rockies. After winning 5-3 yesterday, they get handled 8-1 this evening to even this 4-game set at 1 apiece. Or Jimmy John's delivery of the game. The work for Homer Bailey. 2 tough outings in his return for Homer, but today he was very good. 6 innings again of 1-run baseball. He allowed 8 hits, but all singles. Did not walk a batter. He struck out 3. Bailey gets his first victory of the year. Kyle Freeland takes the loss. Freeland gave up 5 runs in 5 1/3. He drops to 8 and 7 on the season. Once again, the final score: Cincinnati 8, Colorado 1. The Toyota postgame show is coming up next.